I don't tell people what music's good. I don't care what people like. I'm happy when somebody buys a piece of music that makes them go, wow.
One, two, three, four. One, two, three, four. One, two, three, four. I'm hard of hearing.
Yeah, sure, just a little bit.
One row over. How's that?
That's perfect.
Okay. Doing this now for 33 and a third years, and I just love this job, and I hope it will continue as long as the records are of interest to people. I originally started in where Value Village is. There used to be a public market there, so it was open for people who wanted to put a table out in the center of the aisle or have a booth, and you could put your product in there.
We came here September of '86, and we didn't have this much stuff then. We just went by the seat of our pants. I've been with Gary for over 30 years. I've worked full-time for him for 30 and on and off for probably another 4 years before that. I bought my first 45 at 8, my first LP at 10, and it was just hanging around with Gary, and you know, I was good at it because I knew a bunch about music. Gary, of course, knew more than I did, and I just picked up knowledge as I went, and it seemed like a fun way to make a living talking to people who all like music.
When this store first started, there was only a few shelves of records here, and the back end of the store was pinball machines and games and that, and it paid the bills. And then as the records grew, a machine would retire or just move it on. It just became a whole bunch of fun. Even though we should have been paying more attention to the customer, we found ourselves playing games at the back more often than business. But eventually the records took over, all the games were gone, and I have stayed in this location for that length of time, and I will probably never move from here because it's a very interesting spot, not only for tourism but for the locals who like to come into the alley. It's the history. I like the feel of it. Celebrate 33 and a third years of being in business, which is the speed of a record. Well, we can celebrate early before somebody else gets the idea. Not many people hold a birthday at 33 and a third years. Meeting new people for me, some people have names I've never heard, like especially when I ask them where they're from. The amount of people who travel to buy stuff in parts of the world that they're from. Also, I find very interesting is what they do for a living. I always ask questions, and so sometimes I get people who do say they do this and this and this, and I go, now I never thought of that as an income or a form of living.
There's 7 billion of us on the planet. We don't like the same music, all of us. We don't like the same artwork, but we all like music and we all like art, or most of us.
Yeah.
And if you look around, you know, we don't have one kind of music in the store. We don't have one kind of poster art in the store. We, you know, there's a B.B. King poster right beside an Arctic Monkey and a Nine Inch Nails poster. They have nothing in common with each other except the fact that people like them. As far as the streaming services, it's a matter of access to music. And if you're not going to physically sit down and listen, and you're busy doing things, then streaming's probably fine.
Vinyl, though, it's a particular sound you cannot get from CD or off the internet. I find them to be a bit of a soulless sound, and records have a dimension, almost like a 3D. If you sit down in front of a record and you've got a stage where you've got your speakers and your turntable and all that sit in the center, and you've got a little chair and you sit there and close your eyes, in a lot of cases you can actually image where the musician is standing in the studio when they made the record.
There's just something wonderful about analog sound. It's spacious, it's open, it's rich, it's full sounding.
I guess we're getting more and more younger people coming in here, whereas before it was considered old farts type of stuff. But now it's really built up, and the younger kids are really enjoying the sound of vinyl.
The one thing I found over the years is the music of the day is what's important to the youngest. Music is made for the young, and usually by the young. You know, it's not for the faint to do it, because, you know, 100 can try and 2 might make it. So, you know, I give kudos to the people who give it a shot and make it work. All I do is listen. I don't play an instrument, so I've never gone through the grind. And but I'm always happy for the people who make music, because I get to sit there and listen to it.
I'm going to play you the softest piece on the whole album.
Okay.
I'm on this one. And then there was another band shortly after this called Task Force. The problem with three-piece bands when it came to bars is they wanted 4 or 5 or 6, because it looked like the stage was more active. The more people that was up there, the more visual it was for their audiences. But here we just filled your head full of extremely loud music. And we used to sell the bars out, especially on Halloween, because we were pretty scary looking back then. But
not have fun, you know, and it's always nice to make a bit of money too, but you know, that wasn't the reason that either Gary and I got into it, was, you know, making a ton of money. We both want to make a living, and we both want to enjoy ourselves, and that's why we work in a place like this.
When I'm not having to actually do the operations of the, you know, the taxes, the worry of business, but outside of that, I've had a pretty good life. I'm happy.